friends, it's Aubrey. Today we are doing another extreme grocery budget challenge where I'm feeding my family of three for 3 to 4 days for $30. Let's see how many meals we can make. Hi, helper. Here is what $29.09 got for me at Walmart. Let me show you everything and my ideas behind the things that I bought and what we're going to use them for. So we got some bananas, some extra sharp cheddar cheese to make some mac and cheese and quesadillas. Got some of this ground turkey to make some rice-a-roni, as well as some chili, which we're going to use these beans and tomatoes for. I got the chili beans and the chili ready tomatoes so I didn't have to buy an additional seasoning packet. Got some rotini for the macaroni and cheese, and we might also use some for like buttered noodles as a snack. We got some milk because my daughter is 1 year old, so she still drinks milk, and that's kind of what helped pick everything, was the price of milk and the fact that we needed it. We got some fruit and cream oatmeal to do for breakfast or snack. We got 10 pack of tortillas to make some tortilla chips and also to make some quesadillas, some carrots for snacks and for the rice-a-roni dish. Got some eggs to make some cookies and also to have some like breakfasts or lunches with eggs. We got some dry yeast because we are going to use that in the flour, and some water and salt from the pantry to make some bread. Got an onion, peanut butter for the cookies, and also just to have with either the apples or with the bread as sandwiches or toast. And we got a little thing of sugar and some rice-a-roni. And I know that going to one store, you don't always get the best prices. Like for example, this sugar, they also have the same one at Dollar Tree, and it's 40 cents cheaper. But I like trying to go to one store for these kind of videos, just so that way we can have an easy meal plan for you to go and you don't have to shop around. So this was all from Walmart, $29.09. Let's see how many meals we can get this week from this. We are going to use the flour, 1 part of a yeast packet, and some salt from the pantry, as well as some water to make some no-knead bread using my brand new Dutch oven. And we will get that started by temping our water. It should be between like 100 to 110, so I'm going to add a little bit more hot water to this just to make sure we get the temp right so that the yeast will activate. And then we're going to go ahead and add our ingredients to this bowl, mix it, and cover it. You'll need a half teaspoon of yeast, a teaspoon of salt, and 3 cups of flour. Got the water in the range. We're going to go ahead and dump that in. Once you add the water, make sure to stir everything until it's well combined. You're not going to need this, so just mix until it looks good, and then you'll go ahead and cover it with plastic wrap and leave it on your counter. Here is what the bread dough is looking like. We're gonna dump it out onto a floured counter because I still had some flour left in my bag. And then while that is going, we're heating up the oven with my cast iron in it at 400 degrees. It's heating up right now. So let's get this shaped and let it do a final quick rise for about 30 minutes until the pan is hot enough. I let the bread dough rise for about 24 hours, and then I just gently scraped it out of the bowl. I'm now just gonna shape the dough, not knead it, just shape it. And make sure it's covered with flour so it doesn't stick to my pot. Fun fact, I used to work in a bakery, a bread store specifically growing up, so always like making bread. I just don't do it as often as I probably should. Here's the loaf. We'll go ahead and just leave this on the counter while the pot heats for about a half hour in the oven at 400 degrees. Then we'll plop this in with the plastic off and cook the bread. Because my Dutch oven will only go to 400 degrees safely, I ended up cooking this for 37 minutes covered and then about 10 to 15 uncovered, and I just temped it, and when it got to 190 degrees, I knew the bread was done. While the bread is cooking, I'm going to prep all of the sharp cheddar cheese. Just gonna grate it into this bowl that has a lid. That way we can use it for the mac and cheese and quesadillas and grilled cheese sandwiches. I ended up not doing all of the cheese, but we'll do more later this week if needed. I figured during this budget challenge it would be nice to have a sweet treat to have with lunch or as a snack, and so we're going to make some 3-ingredient peanut butter cookies. These are so easy. It's just 1 cup of peanut butter, 1 cup of white sugar, and 1 egg, and you mix this until it's well combined. You can use a hand mixer, a stand mixer, just a spoon, but once you have these well combined, you'll drop them onto a cookie sheet. If you want a gooier cookie, don't flatten them. If you want a more firm cookie, flatten them, and then pop them into a preheated oven at 350 degrees for about 10 minutes. You'll still have a decent amount of peanut butter left for lunches and breakfast this week, as well as some sugar, but here are what the completed cookies look like. These are so good, and I love that they're minimal ingredients, and most of the time we have these things on hand. With the ingredients that we purchased this week, there were several different breakfast options. So, for one of the mornings, we had eggs and a side of fruit. Another morning, we had some oatmeal. Instead of using water, we used some warm milk, and then we could add an apple or a banana into that as well. And then another option that we did later in the week was take some of the bread and toast it up, have some peanut butter, and then we split some of the fruit across the 3 of us. And all of these were filling, gave us enough calories that we needed until lunch. I was also very proud of my smiley face of the bananas in my oatmeal. It was super tasty. So, hopefully, this gives you some ideas of breakfast that you can make with these ingredients. Another one that we thought about doing was a breakfast burrito with eggs and cheese since we had tortillas in this meal plan. Some lunch options that we had with the ingredients that we bought were grilled cheese sandwiches. These were really good, and it kind of is making me want to make this kind of bread again, but with cheese baked inside. I think it would be really, really yummy. And another option we had was a peanut butter sandwich, and we either had carrot sticks, apples, or cookies on the side. And then another thing we made were quesadillas, which were super good. There's just something so delicious about those simple lunches that we used to have when we were kids. So it was fun to have those this week. And another thing we had for lunch for 2 of the days were leftovers since we had plenty from our dinners. For this first dinner, we are going to make rice-a-roni. And I know it's a box dinner, but sometimes with budget meals, it's a really good idea to use one of those box dinners as a jumping off point. And so for tonight's dinner, we're going to add some carrots as well as some ground turkey with onions to it to kind of add some additional flavor and some additional calories. I'm browning up the ground turkey with the onions and a little bit of salt and pepper. And I also added a teeny bit of olive oil to the pan as well since turkey's pretty low fat. And I'm going to use half of the meat and onion mixture tonight and half of it another night. I sautéed my carrots in a little bit of butter for a few minutes before adding in the rice-a-roni, and then I got that browning together. And once that looked good, I just followed the package instructions and added the water and the seasoning packet, stirred this, waited for it to start boiling, and once it was boiling, I went ahead and turned it to low so that it could simmer, and I covered this with the lid and let it cook for about 15 to 18 minutes until the rice was fully cooked through. I then added in my turkey and onion mixture, stirred that around, and let it heat all the way through, and then served this up. It was so good. I haven't had rice roni in a long time, but I will definitely be keeping some in the pantry because it's a very quick and easy dinner. It was a very cold and snowy day in Oregon, so we're going to make some chili for our next dinner. Tonight's dinner, we're going to have the chili using the ground turkey and onion mixture that we made yesterday, the chili beans, chili ready tomatoes, and then we're going to rinse and drain the black beans. And then we'll go ahead and add a little bit of extra water, some salt and pepper, and if you have it, you can add additional seasonings like chili powder, cumin, garlic powder, whatever you really want. But the chili beans and the chili ready tomatoes should have enough seasoning in them that we'll just need a little bit of salt and pepper. I don't really like the texture or big chunks of tomatoes in my soup, so I'm just gonna blend it with my little Ninja and make this a nice smooth tomato consistency. I'm going to add in my chili beans, leaving the sauce, and then I'm going to rinse and drain my black beans. What you could do if you wanted is just get a second can of chili beans, up to you on if you like the mixture of the beans. And then you'll add your meat mixture and the chili ready tomatoes, some salt and pepper, and you'll go ahead and just have this simmer together for about 20 minutes. Another great cheap option to add to this meal plan if you have the extra 60 to 80 cents, which would bring it right up to almost $30 exactly, is some Jiffy cornbread mix. You can use this on side of the chili, and then also you could use the extra cornbread to make breadcrumbs instead of the loaf for the mac and cheese. So that is a good option, especially because the meal plan already includes eggs and milk. We're just going to mix this up and bake it according to the package instructions. And while that's baking, I'm going to make some homemade tortilla chips in the air fryer. So I'm just going to cut these, which is really hard to do one-handed. Cut them into little triangles. We'll spray them with some olive oil spray and then pop them into the air fryer. We're going to place my Instant Pot trivet on top. That way when the air is circulating throughout here, it won't cause the tortilla pieces to lift up and burn, because that has happened to me before, so that's a little tip. We're going to put these in the air fryer at 350 for about 3 minutes, and then we'll flip them over. Here is the completed dish. This was super good, and we had enough leftovers for our leftovers night and to eat for lunches as well. So for the mac and cheese, I'm going to make some homemade breadcrumbs out of a couple pieces of the bread that I made. And then I did end up making cornbread the other day, so I'm going to use some of that as well. Someone had to come give me a hug, huh? These two are always in the kitchen with me. So I will probably add a little bit of the cornbread. Like I said, if you're trying to keep this budget under $30, it's totally possible with the cornbread that I bought to buy one of them for 60 to 80 cents, depending on your store. So we're gonna take the bread, pop it into my mini food processor, and then I'll grab some cornbread as well. And we're going to get this blended, hopefully into a fine powdery dust. In hindsight, I probably should have toasted my bread pieces first. It would have given it a better crumb. Just put the breadcrumbs in for about 5 minutes for 300 degrees, and then we'll stir them. And then we will stir them around when they are done, and then put them in for another 5 minutes. I like chunkier breadcrumbs, so that's why I was fine with the actual bread being a little chunkier, and then the cornmeal from the cornbread just kind of crumbled up nicely. Also, does anybody else just let their toddler play in their Tupperware drawer while they're cooking? It's a great toy. She loves it. So now that those are done, we're gonna get the water boiling, and then we're gonna start the roux for the cheese sauce. I'm only cooking about half of the box of pasta. With this meal plan, you definitely can make the full box. I just know my family won't eat the whole like 10 servings of mac and cheese over the next few days, but I will count this dinner as 10 servings because you do have enough ingredients in the meal plan to make the full 10 servings of mac and cheese. Let's get the sauce going. I'm going to melt 2 tablespoons of butter in a large frying pan, and once that has fully melted, I'm going to add in about a 1/4 cup of flour. We're going to let that cook together for about a minute or two until it starts to get a nice golden brown. And then we'll slowly add in the milk, which we're going to do 3/4 cup of milk and just add it in a few tablespoons at a time. While this is thickening up, I added in some salt and pepper. You can do this to taste. I really just eyeballed it. And if you have other seasonings that you want to add, like paprika or oregano or whatever else you think would taste really good in mac and cheese that you already have on hand, go ahead and add that in here as well. And then I'm slowly going to add in a 1.5 cups of cheddar cheese, and we'll mix that until it is nice and creamy. Once your pasta is done cooking, you can go ahead and dump that into the cheese sauce. Taste it, make sure you don't need any additional seasonings, and once you got it to a point where it is ready to go, dump that into a 9 by 13 sprayed baking dish and then top it with your breadcrumbs. You'll cover this with aluminum foil and pop it into a preheated oven at 350 degrees, and you'll bake this for about 20 minutes covered and then an additional 5 to 10 minutes uncovered, or you can broil it so that way that top layer of breadcrumbs is nice and crispy and all of the cheese is melted. Here is the finished mac and cheese. I decided to also steam some carrots since we had plenty of those for this week and added a little bit of butter and salt and pepper to them. This was definitely one of the best mac and cheeses I've ever made. The cornbread as breadcrumbs on top was so good. The last night, so the fourth night of dinner, was a leftovers night, and everybody got to pick what they liked best from that week. And we just heated everything up and served it with some of the bread that we had left, and it was super delicious and filling. That's all I have for you guys today. I hope you did enjoy, and I hope this video gave you some ideas on how you can make some budget-friendly meals for your family to hopefully save a little bit of money so that you can put that towards something else. And I hope you enjoyed it. Give it a like and leave a comment down below if you did, and hit that subscribe button. I'll be doing more of these type of videos in the future, so you don't want to miss those. And I hope you have the best rest of your day. Bye!